Back here on SportsLine, talking some of the disappointment of the World Cup not choosing Nashville as a host city for 2026. That decision came down last week, and you know, it's a little bit of a frustration, even if some people saw it coming. I wasn't super confident going into the decision on Thursday. Certainly hopeful, but not super confident. But it also makes you think, all right, what's next on this stadium? Because this was part of the draw, right? Hopefully have it up and ready for the World Cup. Well, the World Cup's not coming now, even if there is a stadium. So what does that do, if anything, for what's being discussed and what may be on the horizon for a new stadium over there on the East Bank? And what's next for the big events in Nashville? Well, what's the next big thing to come, and does it require getting that stadium to do one of those events? I thought, what better person to try to help tackle some of those questions than Nashville Sports Council President Scott Ramsey. He's been around for all of this over the last quarter century of helping to attract events and put off really incredible shows in downtown Nashville around sporting weekends, sporting games, sporting tournaments. And they certainly would have done it again with the World Cup, and they'll do it for the next event, whatever that may be as well. But Scott Ramsey joined us on the Electric Power Company Sunday Sports Central to give us a little bit of the taste from the inside of the decision, the aftermath, and maybe where we go from here. Joined now by Nashville Sports Council President Scott Ramsey. Scott, happy Father's Day. First of all, we knew getting a World Cup host site would be tough, but Nashville's won these tough bids before, so how disappointing was it to not get the call for this one?
Well, anytime you don't win a bid, it's in a competitive situation like it was with World Cup, it's disappointing. You know, I think we all are very confident in our ability as a host city in any event to really stage an event that's unique and maybe as good as any in the country could host. So, you know, I think we were confident in our ability, and, you know, unfortunately it didn't fall our way this time, but I don't think that's going to slow down our momentum as a sports destination for the future.
Soccer fans, of course, want to know why the bid wasn't successful. How big of a role do you think the fact that no shovel has hit the dirt yet on a new stadium played in FIFA's decision?
Well, I don't know, Steve. I mean, I think we were certainly in a great position with Nissan Stadium throughout the past couple of years as the process has played out. I don't think we'll ever really know the answer. I'm not sure FIFA will give us that response, but you know, I certainly think you know, common sense will tell you a little bit of uncertainty there. Would you have a new one or not have a new one? But you know, I think Nissan Stadium would again held the event as good as any in the city, and I think Nashville would have rallied around that and put on an event outside the stadium that would have been certainly one of the best in the country. So not sure, but you know, I think certainly you know, we'll lick our wounds and rally around and keep plowing ahead.
Speaking of the new stadium, a lot of progress there in the last few months, but it is still the most often asked question I get around town for sure. As you look at it right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the chances that that stadium is done in time for 2026 right now?
Man, Steve, put me on the spot on a Sunday night. That's a question you'd have to, you know, go right to the mayor and Burke Nihill on right now. I think, you know, from my seat, I think we're starting to think about if everything goes well and we have one on the timeline that we're hoping for by 26 football season, you know, what events can we pursue to recruit to the city from, you know, 27 and beyond. And those events at the scope we're talking about, like national championship, Final Four, Super Bowls, take several years to not only pursue, bid on, and secure, hopefully, in a competitive situation, but also takes many years to plan, fundraise, prepare, operate, and manage. So, you know, I think we need to be ready for that. Hopefully it'll break our way and things will be on time, and we'll have a new enclosed stadium that will allow us to host some events that we haven't previously been able to host.
Obviously, the stadium would allow you to bid on a lot of those major events you just talked about. But in the meantime, Scott, what's the next big event on the horizon for you and your organization to try to bring here?
Well, I think the stadium question is one we're really waiting on right now. I think, Steve, when you look at our calendar year, with the SEC men's basketball tournament locked in through 2035, the Rock and Roll Marathon being one of the second largest full and half in April. This will be the second year for the IndyCar Music City, Big Machine Music City Grand Prix in August. And then our bowl game, which had a record-setting year this year, and hopefully will line up well with a potential new stadium, which we have 4 years remaining in our contract with the Big Ten SEC. And hopefully when the CFP kind of identifies their new playoff model, that we'll be able to compete for a higher and more prestigious position than we currently are. But the bowl game's doing extremely well. We've got the two best conferences in the country coming. And, right now, those four events on top of the NHL, NFL, college season, and all the music festivals we have here, it keeps our city pretty busy.
Yeah, Scott, well, a lot of people are talking about these things these days in the middle of the summer. We appreciate your perspective tonight.
Well, I appreciate it, Steve. It's hard to believe, in 25 years, we're now at the point talking about this kind of stuff, which is pretty exciting. And I think sometimes if you step back and look at the, in grand scheme of things, it's been we've really maybe outpunched our weight, so to speak, in the first 25 years of bringing events here and really developing Nashville to being one of the unique sports destinations in the country. So our foot will be on the pedal, and we'll keep driving forward, and I'm sure it'll be a bigger and better next 25 years.
Yep, you guys have done a great job. Thank you. $190 million over the course of it. But some of the other numbers are where the staggering stuff comes in. And again, this is from the late matches in the tournament that truly get a global audience. Because you also have to remember that early on in the tournament, you have a lot of matches that are going on at the same time. And so you're splitting that global audience. And so, you definitely get some that are in the 100 million range and just slightly above 100 million range and all that. But the point remains that total, just flipping through for less than a minute even, in the last World Cup, 51.3% of the world watched the World Cup at some point. More than 3.57 million people. 2.5 million watched it for like a legitimate period of time, 30 minutes or more. So, that's what? 37% of the world population, 38% of the world population, something like that. So you have just a massive audience that would be out there. And the World Cup final, again, for that one match, 1.1 billion. Absolutely astronomical number to have that many people watch a single sporting event. And that's what you're talking about with the World Cup. A lot of people had their eyes on the U.S. Open golf final round yesterday. Our Virgil Herring certainly did. We'll chat with him after this break on Matt Fitzpatrick's victory up there in Brookline, Massachusetts. Stay tuned. This is SportsLine on News Channel 5+.